For the first session, we move on to the land of rising sun and speaking to one of the pioneers of the OTT industry here, Hulu Japan Chief Content Officer, Kazufumi Nagasawa, a professional who has helped in making it one of the top 2 OTT services in the country. Can I please have Mr. Vanwari and Mr. Kazufumi Nagasawa on stage?
Morning, Kaz.
Good morning.
How's
Neil.
Bombay treating you?
Very good, and thank you, and Neil and the whole Indian television team to having me here today. I'm very excited to be here, not just to talk about our service, but to interact and exchange ideas with all of you. So for the whole day.
Thank you very much for being here. It's been our pleasure to have you. Japan's about the SVOD market is about a $1.7 billion market. Can you give me a little lay of the land over there and also talk about Hulu Japan, how it began, what happened along its journey?
Yep. Actually, the Hulu Japan was initially launched as the 100% owned subsidiary of Hulu US back in 2011, September. And then we got acquired by Nippon TV, which is a leading terrestrial network in Japan, back in 2014. And then last year, we welcomed new shareholders, minor shareholders. Although the Nippon TV still maintain the majority, we welcome new shareholders, including Hulu US again.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so we've been in the industry for 7.5 years, and luckily, I've been with the company since before we launched the service in 2011.
Yeah.
And now we have 1.8 million paying subscribers, which is one of the top, talking about the active number of users.
Yeah. So in terms of the marketplace,
Yep.
what are the dynamics that are play in Japan with all the various OTT platforms? You've got a free player, which is kind of run by the industry, by the various broadcasters. You've got Amazon, you've got Netflix, you've got Hulu, you've got DTV, you've got Unext.
Yep.
So give us a little bit of a background about Japan.
Okay. First of all, we are pure SVOD service. We have one product, one price. And I would say the OTT space in Japan is super crowded. And many of them for many of them, the primary focus is SVOD versus TVOD or AVOD. And all the mobile carriers have the service, and all the broadcasters once decided to go vertical. So basically all the national terrestrial broadcasters have the vertical service. And also we have Netflix, Amazon, and some other players. So the market space, especially for SVOD, is super crowded.
And in terms of pricing, how is it structured with the Amazons, the Netflixes? Netflix follows its pricing model all over the world.
Yeah.
But Amazon has a different price. You all have a different price.
Yeah. Our price is about $9 per month. And the price for the mobile service owned by mobile carriers, roughly half of that. And Netflix, as they do in US, they have 3 price tiers. And the middle price is about the same with ours. And the lower price tier is cheaper, obviously. And Amazon Prime is a kind of a different animal everywhere, and especially in Japan, they have their subscription fee for the entire year is $35. So they are much cheaper than any other players.
Fantastic. So in terms of your content slate, since you're very closely affiliated with Nippon TV, what is the buy-in in terms of content that you have with Nippon? How do you create a content slate? How much do you acquire from outside? How much is it from international studios? How much of it is domestic? And the originals that you create? It's a lot of questions. So please speaking, and I will keep quiet after that.
Okay, so let me start talking about the content lineup on our service. We have over 50,000 hours of content. Of that 50,000 hours, I would say 3,000, we have 3,000 films, and the rest are the series. And between the domestic and the international, I would say 60% of the content, 60 to 65% are from domestic, and the rest is from international, and mostly from US. And actually, we launched our service as with pure US content service, initially, because we couldn't get the local content, especially from broadcasters up front. Now, our most important competitive edge is the content we get from our parents, Nippon TV, especially the drama series, Catch Up, plus we have exclusive prequel, sequel, parallel story, and director's version with extra footage and even spin-off content from the series. And of course, the catch-up itself is strong, and they put the call to action at the end of the program, and which is working super well for both for customer acquisition and retention.
Yeah.
And
continue.
have I covered all the questions?
No,
Because
there's
there are
still
many questions.
Yeah.
Remember?
So, coming back again, in terms of the drama series of Nippon, are they mainly historicals or are they current situation, what's happening in Japan? What are the narratives in the drama series?
Actually, yeah, it's based on today, most of them, yeah. And could be a romantic comedy and detective stories, but based on modern day Tokyo.
Yeah, and amongst your consumers, how many of them are women? How many of them are men?
Okay.
The female-male divide?
For us, the we initially our users were quite male skewed, but right now it's about 50 and 50, and especially the audience for the program from Nippon TV is a bit skewed to women, female.
So how did that swing happen when you were initially male skewed? What did you all do?
Yeah, because remember we started the service with the U.S. drama series, and back then the users for the OTT service itself was skewed toward men at the age of 30 or 40. Medium age when we launched was the 40. Right now it's moving down to below 30, and 50-50 male female.
Yeah, and how are they consuming it? Is it mobile consumption, or are they watching it on their smart TV sets? Or
Okay. In terms of the share of consumption, I would say almost half is from living room. That said, great majority of users are watching video on mobile. That means many users are using multiple devices to watch content. So in terms of the viewed hours, living room is most important, but that doesn't mean people doesn't use mobile. They use mobile, smartphone, and tablet as well, and PC as well.
Oh, fantastic! So Japan is very advertising-led and very terrestrial-led. Mm-hmm. So what has been the impact of OTT on consumption on traditional terrestrial linear viewing? Has there been an impact? Because you're saying a lot of the consumption is happening in the living room. So has that impacted terrestrial viewing in any way?
Not really yet, because the user base for the terrestrial network is much bigger than that of OTT today. Because we have just 1.8 million paying subscribers. That number is below 10% of the because terrestrial, the primetime program of the terrestrial network is viewed by 20 or 30 million people. So it's much it hasn't impacted yet.
Yeah, but in terms of storytelling, has it impacted the terrestrial networks, the stories that are being told by Netflix, by Amazon, and by other players? Has that brought about a change in the way the stories are being told on traditional television?
I'd say not yet.
And
I don't see any impact.
No, not in terms of consumption, but in the narrative?
No.
Nothing as yet.
Not yet.
So Japanese television traditionally was delivering content that consumers wanted all along. And the OTTs have not brought about any new kind of content. Would it be fair to say that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
In India, it's different. I mean, India is being hit by a wave of shows which they would have never seen on television. Mm-hmm. So that's the differences that's happening.
Yeah, that's very different.
Yeah. So in recent times, you lost your HBO catalog to Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has that impacted you? Now that you said you began as an American outpost, you slowly starting getting local content. You lost the HBO. Has that impacted you in any way?
Actually, the answer is no, absolutely no. Yeah, we had a 2 years exclusive deal with HBO to cover the whole catalog, and Amazon outbid us, and we sort of gave it to Amazon Prime in Japan. And the truth is, we still keep the Game of Thrones, the single most important show, and the latest season for the Game of Thrones is still exclusive to us. So I would say there's zero impact, to be honest.
Yeah, you also told me you don't get into a bidding war with the big players.
Yeah.
With Amazon, Netflix, you let them. Why is that?
Yeah, actually, we didn't intend that, but the contract was separate. Yeah. We had a separate contract that secures the Light Hope series exclusivity of the latest series. That's why.
My question was, when we met this morning, you told me you don't get into a bidding war with the biggies.
Yep.
Any reason?
Because it doesn't make sense. I don't think it's a good use of our limited content budget to satisfy our users. We'd rather go with the to find the content that our users have never expected and they can enjoy.
All right. So what are the trends you've been observing in Japan in terms of content, in terms of the competitive play out, any of the trends that you've been observing which could have commonalities with other markets in Asia? The trends in Japan in terms of the OTT side.
Trend in Japan. In terms of the content
could be in terms of the subscription side, the free side. You'll have that particular. You'll have Albima TV. Or you were talking about TVer earlier, which is a free product which is run by all the broadcasters. TVer.
Oh yeah, TVer. Yeah, actually, as I said, the most players are focused on SVOD in Japan. There's only 2 major AVOD service, which is TVer and GAO. And especially TVer is the jointly operated among broadcasters. But that service is strictly focused on the catch-up for the broadcasted content. And they have the content only for a week. Then they drop. So the truth is we can use TVer as the funnel for us to acquire content because we stack the content, so people can watch the whole series from the episode 1 anytime. But for TVer, it's 1 week, only for 1 week, so they can watch only for the latest episode. So at the end of the program on TVer, we can put a call to action. You can watch the whole episode on Hulu. So it's using like a funnel for us.
Yeah, let's say 2019, it's coming up. How will you plan for the next 6 months for the content you're playing out on Hulu? What goes on in your mind when you start acquiring, building the slate?
Okay, so the vast majority of consumption, viewed hours, is coming from library content, still coming from library content. And as I said, the most important competitive differentiation for us is the content from Nippon TV plus the exclusive spin-off or special content. That means, we really don't need to, continue to acquire new content or, develop original content in terms of the volume. That said, we will continue to develop our original content and continue to find great new content from around the globe, not limited to English-speaking territories. And also, the thing is, we are trying to become less independent from studios' content.
By studios, you mean American studios?
American studios, major studios, for the international side, because of the cost efficiency.
Yeah. You were mentioning that you experiment with the Turkish drama Magnificent Century.
Yeah, yeah.
How did that experiment go?
Yeah, actually, yes. Thanks for asking that. Yeah, we acquired Magnificent Century, which is a Turkish mega hit drama, and it was the first acquisition of the Turkish drama for Japanese companies last year. We launched the content last year, and to be honest, the performance was, well over our expectation. We didn't expect that, that content performed that well with the Japanese subtitle, because, we cannot afford to put that because of the number of episodes. It's huge.
Yeah, that was about, what, 220 episodes?
Yeah, we just launched the first season last year, 48 episodes, and launched 79 episodes of season 2 this year. And yeah, the whole number is 350 or something.
Yeah,
Yes.
and how did that do in terms of watch times?
Very good. One of the top 10 among international shows, which is amazing, because, for us, we have the biggest catalog of the American shows from studios. Still, it performed that well.
Fantastic. That's great news. You also picked up a Russian show recently,
Yeah.
and you did a multi-window
Yep.
release of that. You
Yep.
did DVD. Tell us a little more about
Yep,
that,
yep.
please.
Yeah, the success with that Turkish drama encouraged us to, deep dive into the non-English speaking drama. And the fact is, The Walking Dead, the zombie drama, is the most important show for international side. And I was looking for a zombie drama, and I happened to find a mega hit zombie drama from Russia. And we acquired all rights. And we licensed the home entertainment DVD rights to Fox Home Entertainment. Because, DVD business, DVD rental is still huge in Japan. That overall market is still bigger than OTT market, believe me or not.
Yeah, even the music market is massive, the music CD market.
Yeah,
Japanese
still,
love
yeah,
to pay
yeah.
for music, unlike
Yeah.
India.
Yeah, we love package, old media, to be honest. So, yeah, we invited Fox Home Entertainment to do the day and date release with us. And we also licensed the TV rights to our sister company, Nippon TV Satellite, BS Nippon. And so almost simultaneous launch. The concept behind it is, because we cannot put the huge resource for the marketing. So the show has zero awareness. So to generate the buzz, I thought we'd better have the to launch on the multiple platforms simultaneously to make sure that, because to make the shows popular, I think it's important for users to be able to speak with a friend who watched it. So, so it worked in a positive way. And the performance on a platform is quite encouraging.
Great. So in terms of, apart from using your sister companies, using other DVD outlets, what else do you all do to build the buzz around the show? Do you all use social media very aggressively?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so and is there a social media team separately which works on it? Do you also closely watch video analytics and you're accordingly, recommending search and...
That's as everybody does, yes. And one differentiation we have is, we have the time slot on Nippon TV named Hulu Episode 1 Theater. So we put the first episode of the show on Nippon TV, terrestrial. And then we can put it onto the TVer for catch-up. And that bring us the additional users who never knew about the show. So we did that for the Turkish drama, of course, and we did it for the Russian drama, as going to do it for the show we're going to acquire.
Fantastic. So the good news, I was in MIPCOM earlier this year, and you met up with a colleague of ours, the industry colleague called Siddharth Tiwari. And I believe you inked a deal with them to acquire Porus, which was your first Indian acquisition.
Yeah.
Now, tell me a little bit about that in terms of what led to that, what attracted you to the show, and what are you going to do with that show as far as Hulu and the Japanese audiences are concerned?
Okay. Actually, yes. as far as I know, it's for the first time for Japanese company to acquire Indian series. Although acquiring Indian film is not that rare, and we actually have several Indian film on our service as catalog, including Bahubali. And
How is that doing? I'll come back to Tiwari later, but how is Bahubali doing?
Bahubali did very well. First for the theatrical release, and performance on our service is very good, and that pushed us to acquire, to be honest, to acquire Porus for one reason, and also period drama in general performed very well. Good period drama, as I said with the example of the Turkish drama. Good period drama is our preference in general because and also we prefer to acquire huge series, with huge number of episodes because it works well for the for customer retention. So we usually do not excited with the mini series. And also, I happened to have a chance to watch a trailer at MIPCOM or MIP TV, I don't remember, and it was great. I was fascinated by the trailer, so I went to the booth and talked to them.
Yeah. And in terms of pricing, I'm not going to ask you the specific price. As compared to what you pay the Turks, the Americans, is Indian content a little more affordable?
Yeah, to be honest, yes.
And is that another reason which excited
That's
you?
part of the reason. But there are so many stuff we can buy cheap in the world. But given the resource we have to put to launch a show, we have to localize the show, and we have to QC the content. So it's huge. So we are very choosy, even if it's cheap.
As far as the audience is concerned, they'd be interested in knowing, are you looking at buying more Indian content? And what kind of content would you be looking at?
So, as I said, we have huge appetite to find the great show from around the world, not limited to English-speaking territories. And our preference is a big show, with bigger number of episodes and something outstanding. That said, we are very choosy, to be honest. We have to be choosy because of the resource limitation.
So let's say in a year, you'll be picking out about 5 shows from outside or 3 shows? Or?
A year, we acquire over 30 shows.
Sorry, over?
30.
30 shows. So India got into it this year after about 7.5 years. An Indian show got into it after 7.5 years. Can we expect another Indian show in the next 2 years to get into the 30
Yeah,
slate?
of course. Why not? Maybe India or maybe Indonesia, maybe from Thai, from China, from anywhere.
And are you restricted to Hindi, or would you be open to Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, other languages?
Actually, we put subtitle.
Okay.
So, as I said, for the Turkish drama, we cannot afford to put dub. So we put just Japanese subtitle, and it worked. And same thing was true with Russian language. So now I think the language itself is not really a barrier for us to acquire content.
Fantastic. Okay, I'd like to throw it open to the audience now. Anyone wants to ask a question, identify yourself and be very precise as far as the question is concerned. Can we have a mic leading this gentleman up here, please?
Please make sure that I understand the question.
And speak slowly. Kaz has requested me that I tend to speak too fast, so I'm really slowing myself down when I'm speaking with him. Events team, mics.
Okay. Hi, my name is Abel.
Can you stand up and identify yourself if you don't mind? Okay. And be clear. Okay. Use the mic right up here.
Hi, my name is Abel Barreto.
One sec.
Can everyone hear me? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Abel Barreto. I'm representing a company called Venona MediaSoft. We are basically a digital media content provider. My basic question to you is, since a few minutes ago you said that there is this old media. So since my childhood, in the way that Japanese, Chinese, South Korean, they were very keen on the kung fu movies, the karate movies. Is that still prevalent or is the trend changing?
So what he's talking about is the action genre and around kung fu, karate. So are you all still in the, picking up the action genre with kung fu and karate?
Yeah, action
Karate?
show in general is really preferred by users, yes.
Okay, so any other country, maybe including India, if they happen to create such kind of genre, would you be interested in that?
Indian Kalaripetu, there's a sport called Kalaripetu. It's where it's an Indian art form, Indian fighting form. Are you talking about Kalaripetu?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So would you be interested in a show like that? I think we can take this discussion offline.
Oh, okay, no.
You can show him if you have a show reel or a sizzle reel.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Sonesh. I work with the I have a small outfit which does B2B content. And my question is primarily around how, in your experience with Hulu Japan and prior experience with Japan itself, have you seen, cultural ramifications of content in the audience? I mean, is there some insights you can give wherein how OTT and television is changing culture in Japan, if there is any?
Yeah. How is it impacting society?
Society.
Yeah. The content that's coming on OTT.
Yeah, they start to spend more time watching content and starting to sleep less. That's what I see.
Any other, is there a fabric, is there any, in India there's a furor going around which will be tackled in another session on self-regulation on OTT. There's an entire movement to regulate all OTT services in India, which I believe I'm not in favor of and the industry is not in favor of. So what he's talking about, has it impacted the social fabric?
I'd say not really yet.
Right. You got your answer.
Yes.
Thank you for that, Kaz. Any other questions? Can we have a mic? I just stand up, I can't see you. Yeah. Thanks. Can you come up here? Just come up so we can see you. I mean, Kaz can't see you.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Better. Hi, my name is Rahul Jaktiani. I'm a producer and a host of a travel series. My question to you is, are you just looking at fiction or are you looking at lifestyle content as well? And B, does the length matter?
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Actually, we're not just focused on the scripted content. The truth is we have volume deal with A&E, Discovery, National Geo, and BBC. And we also have the History Channel, National Geo, linear, plus catch-up. And so our catalog for the factual or lifestyle content is much bigger than the competitors in Japan. That said, we cannot afford to, acquire single content from, many partners because of the limitation of our resource. That's why right now we are quite focused on those 4 major players. But that's the situation. Because, to be honest, a priority is scripted.
Right. Okay. So you'd work with distributors, not independent content creators.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Siraj, to the point and precise, and identify yourself. A mic over there. Yeah, can you take the mic from him, please? Can we have a more efficient usage of mics, please? Yeah.
My name is Siraj Sayyed. I'm a journalist. You mentioned that you have some 3,000 films in your catalog. I'd like to know if you can give us a percentage-wise division of the Indian film content within that. And secondly, do you want to acquire only blockbusters about which you read of huge collections, etc.? Or are you open to the less popular but maybe more art-worthy cinema as well?
Okay. Regarding the film, of that 3,000, I would say 50% from domestic, 50% from international, and mostly from studio. Still, we have the I would say for international, I would say 10-20% from China, Korea. And I know we have about 20 Indian films on our service. And that's it for film side. And for acquisition of the international show. So as I said, to be honest, we cannot afford to acquire as many shows as we desire because of the resource limitation. So the first screening should be the proven track record at the home countries. That's why we're primarily looking for the mega hit series from each territories.
Yeah, so that answered you.
Thank you.
We've got a minute left and 15 seconds, so anyone wants to get a question in edgewise, otherwise, quickly, to the point, brief. And this is Mike coming away, please, Kishore. Identify yourself.
I'm Kishore Srivastav. I'm heading Business Development Division for Toons Media Group in SAARC and MENA region. My basic question is, you mentioned about your segmentation as far as male and female is concerned, like 50-50 or almost on that side. So I wanted to understand your kids market currently and how's the traction of kids on your platform. Okay. And are you looking for any specific kind of content for kids in your region?
Yeah, India has some great content which, Netflix has just commissioned 3 or 4 studios, Amazon's commissioning studios to do animated content, which they hope will travel the world.
Okay. To tell you the truth, we don't have the exact number of the hours viewed by kids because we have no way to monitor because kids are using their parents' account. That said, we are assuming that the roughly 20% of the consumption could be from kids or teenagers based on the content watched. And as of today, over 90% of the kids' content are from domestic market because, as you know, the kids' content in Japan is great. We have great lineup in home countries. So right now, we do not acquire much content, kids' content from international because of the resource limitation, and we're sufficed with the domestic content. That said, we don't say no to anything. So if there is a really attractive content for us to look at, yeah, we might consider. Although to be honest, priority is for adult content. To be honest.
Thanks.
Thank you. Time's up. I've been notoriously told that I always overrun, and I always get a rap on my knuckles from my team. So I'll stop right now and give a big thank you to Kaz for being a part of this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So I please request you to present Mr. Nakasawa with the Digital Pioneer plaque. Big round of applause. Guys, a big round of applause. Thank you, sir.